always traveling to different events. So with
Oh, yes.
Toastmasters, I think every weekend, talk about being busy.
Yes. In fact, every weekend in January, we were at a Toastmaster event.
That's fabulous. It's so cool that you guys have something in common. I know Richard and I the same way. Almost everything we do is together, only because we both have this passion to continue growing. As I say, we're ever growing, because we have to be if we want to continue
Right.
growing our business.
Yeah, as soon as you start
Yeah.
standing still, you're getting passed by, because in life, in
Exactly.
business, there is no standing still. Business is getting bigger, better, stronger, and that's its mission and what it's supposed to do every day.
Right. And that's the thing about Toastmasters, too. It's an ongoing journey. There's no end to it. You can go as fast as you want or as slow as you want, so you go at your own pace, and you can become members of more than one club. So you can become, serve in district leadership. So just depending on how involved you want to be and how much you want to grow, there are limitless opportunities.
So when you're traveling, you can actually, say if you're in an area outside of your district, you are welcome to attend a chapter outside of your area.
Absolutely. Yes. In fact, our district has a program called the Club Ambassador Program, and we encourage members to visit clubs outside of the four walls of their club, because that's where you really grow, you meet new people. And we have each year an award for the club ambassador that visited the most clubs during the year, and the club ambassador that visited the club the farthest away each year. So one time we had someone who visited a club in Russia. One year we had a member that visited over 70 clubs during the year. He traveled all over the United States. So it's encouraged very much to go outside of your club and visit other clubs.
Oh, that's, again, pretty cool. Now, here in Florida, we do have a lot of retirees, engineers, healthcare professionals. How would Toastmasters benefit those occupations?
Well, as we know, retirees, we have a club in Orlando at the Mayflower Retirement Center in Winter Park, and they were actually featured in a magazine because of how Toastmasters helps keep your mind active and sharp. So it's great for retirees, as well as getting to know other people and being able to have that social time as well. And then, of course, we all know engineers, healthcare professionals, CPAs, different types of professionals are not always comfortable in public speaking or doing presentations or even one-on-one conversations. Sometimes they need help. So in all of those aspects, Toastmasters can help. And like I said, we have a club in USTA in Lake Nona, so for tennis professionals or people working in the tennis industry. We have clubs at Lockheed Martin here in Orlando for engineers, and Rockwell Collins, and those are defense industry organizations. So it's helping in many, many different professional lines, as well as retirees and those that want to keep their mind sharp.
Well, that sounds really, really interesting. Now, but when you mention all those various subsets that you're into as far as industries within Toastmasters, is there a way that it's taught differently or expressed differently, or just in the use of describing what they do in their industry?
No. In every Toastmaster club, basically is run the same. Each club has its own culture and its own personality and things like that, but there are three pillars of every meeting. So in each Toastmaster meeting, you have your prepared speeches. Now, your speeches can be on any topic. So if you're working in different industries and things like that, you can either talk about personal things or you can talk about subjects in your industry. If you have to give a presentation at work, it's a great place to be able to practice your speech and get feedback before you have to give it live. And each speech that you do, even though your topic can be anything, you're working on different skills. So you're working on either vocal variety or body language or getting comfortable with visual aids and that type of thing. And then the second pillar of a Toastmaster meeting is table topics, and that's where you improve your impromptu speaking skills. So with interviews and elevator speeches and getting comfortable at networking events, which is what we're going to talk about, and being comfortable in front of an audience when you're asked and for an impromptu response at, say, a business meeting or a board meeting. There's many different situations where table topics can take away the fear and build some confidence for you. And then at the evaluation part of the meeting, that is where the prepared speakers that gave their speeches are evaluated, and this is where you really begin to grow in the Toastmaster journey, because you're receiving feedback on your speeches or your presentation, and you receive encouraging words about what you did really good, and then you also receive suggestions on ways you can improve. So that's where you begin to grow, and you begin to improve each time you give a speech.
That's an amazing thing, because I know to go out and do that in the general public, to go to a speaker boot camp or to hire a speaking coach, I mean, you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars in order to accomplish those things. So, for the price of a membership, wow. And plus the relationships that you build along the way. It's just
right, and people think that it's quite pricey to become a member of Toastmasters, but it's really, really inexpensive. It's $45 every 6 months. So when you break that down into a daily cost, you're talking about $1.73 a day. So that's less than a Starbucks.
A lot less than a Starbucks.
And look at all you're gaining, not just caffeine.
When you sit there and look at that amount of money, I mean, Cheri and I can't go out and just have a medium level dinner. Not all the fancy stuff, but just a medium level. We spend more than that.
Go a lot more.
Right.
Well, then,
no, it's very economical. So
that's again just another factor to factor into why so many individuals do come into Toastmasters. I know I've heard from a number of people that went in there, kind of like you said, not energetically. They were a little reluctant because they knew they were going to have to learn to speak.
Yes. Which is the number one fear in the world over death is public speaking. And I guarantee you, I have not known anybody that has died from getting up in front of an audience. So it can be overcome.
It's so funny because I just came back from Orlando from this last weekend. I did a 2-day very intensive, 2 intensive days of working on my business plan and myself, my growth, leading forward. And one of the things that was spoken about, of course, was speaking. I've been through some speaking certifications, some speaking training. I'm continually learning. But I will say even before a radio show, I have to really just take a couple deep breaths. I meditate. I have to really be in the zone because I do have that fear that, okay, I'm live. What if I say something that I really want to pull back?
and you're on live radio? Okay.
And it gets, and I've done it, believe you me, fighting through these allergies and now a cold. Once I got the allergies, I thought taken care of with the crazy scratchy voice. But also when I do a speech, I know the content. I get up and I share and do a workshop. I know this stuff. I live it. I breathe it. But I still get so nervous. What tips can you provide to our listeners for those that have to get up in front of a group and they're just still a little uncomfortable and have never had any type of training such as Toastmasters?
Well, that's one of the things that we talk about in Toastmasters is, you're always going to feel nervous. You always may still have those butterflies in your stomach, but it's learning how to get the butterflies in order and fly in formation and then taking away some of that nervous feeling. And honestly, the best thing you can do is just practice, because we see it every day. people that get up and give their icebreaker speech, which is the first speech that you give, and then you see them maybe 6 or 7 speeches later and the improvements that they've made. And so practice, being able to practice in front of an audience on a consistent basis helps build your confidence, and that takes away a lot of your nervousness. But like you said, each person kind of has their own way of calming themselves before they have to go on stage, before they do things. Like you said, you take a couple of deep breaths, you meditate, and just, knowing that you have that confidence, that is what's going to really help get those butterflies in order.
Mm-hmm. I liked how you said, put the butterflies in formation.
Yes.
I've never heard it said that way, but I visualize that.
Yeah, I
so
can
they're
see.
not
I
just
can see
fluttering around all over the place.
I like that. I really like that. Well, we talked, the last time we were together a lot about networking, and we were just recently over at a networking event that you and Scott were at, and
they put on. They weren't just at it,
and it was so educational and such great feedback. But again, taking your skills from Toastmasters and sharing them, I give you guys a high five on that, because that is phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, we had our kickoff event last week, Catch 22 Networking, and you and Richard are also involved in that, as doing our workshops and things like that. So we're very happy that we're able to take what we've learned working with chambers of commerce, running networking events for chambers and things like that. One of the things that Scott and I consistently saw, and feedback that we got too, was that when people go into a networking event and they spend their evening and they spend money either buying drinks or as a admission fee or something like that, they're spending money, they're spending time, so they're making an investment, but they don't feel like they're getting anything out of it. So what we wanted to do was do something where we can facilitate people making the right connections, because we feel like going into a networking event is like going into a sea of fish. There's all different types and colors and people and industries and all of that. And so when you go into this whole sea of fish, what's going to be your catch for the day? Who is it that you want to meet? And, have that already in your mind. So I know there's been a lot of focus lately on face-to-face networking and how important it is. In fact, there's a Forbes study that found that people thought face-to-face interaction was more persuasive and trustworthy than interaction via the internet by a margin of 80%. So that's pretty incredible.
That's huge.
That's a monster. I'm one that falls in that group. I would much rather go to a face-to-face event, no matter where on that, or put on by who, than do the social side of it online. Now, it's important after I make connections to work with the social in an ongoing sphere, but I can totally relate to that side of the equation.
Well, and social media is also very important as a follow-up from a face-to-face networking event, like you said. And we know how much social media has impacted our lives and how millennials are very connected through social media. And social media networking is not better or worse than face-to-face networking, but the combination of the two is more than twice as powerful as either one alone. So if you know how to effectively use both of them together, then you're going to have a lot more success with going to networking events and growing your business and growing your connections.
I totally agree with doing that. Now, what would you recommend to someone, say, that is at a networking event, a face-to-face, whether it be through one of the Toastmasters, a chamber event, an association event? Once they have made those connections, how would you recommend that they combine the social networking?
Well, one of the things is when you're talking to someone, first know what platform they use, whether they're mostly on LinkedIn, are they mostly on Facebook, are they mostly on Instagram, and then connect through them through their preferred social media outlet. And also make sure that you're not waiting days. You don't want to do, the dating rule where you have to wait 3 days before you contact somebody.
I like that.
So make sure that you connect with them, and then meet them. Make it a point to make a connection, meet with them, have coffee or something, and talk about how you can work together. And you may not even work together as a business, but you will each be able to refer each other as you build the relationship and grow. So one thing that we always want to say is, building the relationship is the most important. So going